Hi gang, Denise here, and this is Ask Denise, and I've come back to talking about the SI joint destabilization issues that lots of us yogis have. So I'm going to help you understand the joint a little bit better. So let's have a look at Pinjar. He's going to help me with this explanation. Here's the SI joint. It's the joint between the sacrum, which is the S, and the ilium, which is the I. So sacroiliac joint right here in front there, and in the back side looks like that. So you can see that the ilium sticks out a little bit over the sacrum. So if you can imagine that where they actually come together, you got a joint shape, something like that. And part of that is a synovial surface. That means it is meant to slide one upon the other. And then the rest is very fibrotic. It's very strong collagen fibers in that connective tissue joint. Okay, so it's like half synarthrosis and half diarthrosis. Those are fancy names. But anyway, you can see part of it moves a little bit, part of it does not. It's supposed to be a very, very stable joint, the juncture between the lower body and the spine, and it should be stable. We have a very mobile joint below, that's the hip, and we have a fairly mobile lumbar spine above it. So this needs to be stable in between. But what happens is if we have reduced hip range of motion, or if we are really exploiting our hip range of motion, we're probably going to come here and see if we can get a little bit more range of motion. So that will happen in the spine too. If we have restricted range of motion in the lower spine, we might ask for a bit more from the SI joint. That's what we don't want to do. We want to keep that stable. It needs to be stable. So you'll notice that there's a slight tilt to the sacrum here. That little anterior tilt is part of how this is a lumbar curve, okay? It facilitates that curve, which is in the direction of extension. That is nutation. That's called nutation. All right, so when we back bend, say like in little cobra or other back bending postures, up dog, even standing bends, reaching back, including wheel and some of the really deep back bends, that is usually going to be in the direction of nutation unless there's something else wrong, and that facilitates this back extension position. When we go into forward folds, especially if you do a forward fold kind of like this, where the hip isn't bending, then we end up hinging on the SI joint. So we need to really keep our hips able to flex, and we have to work truly with hip flexion and not pretend that we're flexing our hips when we're really hinging on the SI joint. Okay, so forward folds potentially destabilize the SI joint. Plus, when we do twisting, where we're not allowing the pelvis to move with the sacrum. So here's an example of that. I'll come with my back to you. In a twist, if I'm twisting, say, to the right like this, and if I feel any torquing in my low back, I just should let my hip move back a little bit. What I'm doing when I do that is allowing the pelvis to move with the spine. That is a good way of proceeding in a twist. And there's lots of twists that we do, like revolved triangle, for instance, where we want to keep this hip moving back, but we might need to let this hip drop a little bit over here, okay? And that is just, again, so that you can let the spine and the pelvis move together. All right, now this is really your secret weapon that I'm going to show you right now. In all your standing, right from Tadasana, you want to activate your lateral lines, okay? This is going to help you more than anything protect your SI joint. Great toes pointed straight ahead, heels a little bit wider. We're going to make sure our knees don't lock, and then we activate as though we're going to dial the feet away from each other, but we don't actually move them. Look at how that lifts the arch of my feet. It also sends tension through the outer aspect of my legs on up across my hip and SI joints to the opposite side of my body. So that's what's happening here, is this line of tension through my reinforced connective tissue coming across these joints and then dissipating to the opposite side of the body. That's actually what happens when we walk if we have good walking mechanics. So that's what that joint's designed to do. It's designed to transfer tension from the lower body to the upper body, where it can be either harvested for other action or can dissipate. But that joint is not designed for leveraging, like bending it. So some people are doing that in their forward folds because they don't have enough hip range of motion. So they try to bend here. They don't realize they're doing it. And if it's habitual, it's going to destabilize that joint. So that's what we have to think about, you know. Work with your body. Don't try to make up for a range of motion you're missing with your SI joint. All right, activate those lines and then start to listen to your body. Let your pelvis move with the spine. Okay, that's my best advice for you right now. And if you want more, just request it because I could say a lot more. But let's leave it at that for today. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.